Hello and welcome to the Ramblings of a 42-year-old man. Chris Smith here with you today, and I am joined today by my buddy Kyle Nash from Student of the Game.
The student of the game.
The student of the game.
I am the student of the game.
He is the student of the game. Now, Kyle and I go way back, so I'll do a quick intro on my side of things. I'll let Kyle do a little bit getting in there as well. But Kyle and I have now known each other for close to 30 years.
Yes.
I think we talked about this the other day.
That's right.
1994.
The only reason I had a social life when my leg was broke after high school. Yes. Absolutely accurate.
Yep. So I remember freshman year of high school, met him doing... What were we doing?
Marching
we
band.
were marching band. We were alternates for the marching band because they weren't marching yet.
You were an
right?
alternate.
I was an alternate.
I was just really bad at it. I needed help learning to march. And that's all it came down to. Typical problems of a large man being uncoordinated. And later that year, that would all get fixed. It was very interesting.
Very interesting. Absolutely. Well, we got through high school all together, and I was telling.
Still hadn't padded up for football yet. That's the fun, right? So that didn't happen until after college, which is a whole other thing.
That was well after. I remember, freshman year UCF. We went to the band Halloween party as Han and Chewie.
That's right.
Chewie costume.
I still have my Chewie costume.
You probably still fit into it too.
Since I lost the weight, I might at that. That's right.
I guarantee I don't look like the same Han Solo I was.
Han Solo's dead. We'll find somebody else.
Yeah, there you go.
You're tall enough.
I'm not as gray anyway.
We'll find a K2SO costume. It'll be great.
There we go. Well, yeah. So yeah, we friends through high school, through college. Started family life and separated a little bit and moved to Texas, and we kind of lost track a little bit.
You moved to Texas.
I moved to Texas. Lost track a little bit. Came back, and here we are. We're getting back together. You saw the show, right? You saw the Ramblings, and I said, maybe we can do a collab on something.
Bro, yeah. And then, shouts to David and his draft analysis. I mean, say what you will about me showing up on Mike Patton, the General's, touring the AFC South.
Yes, that was fun.
I could have worn his T-shirt. I could have worn my T-shirt. Instead, I have the UCF T-shirt here. But don't worry, you'll hear about that soon enough when I go and talk with the Black and Gold Bannerets Night Shift podcast. Bing! The bing is when I'm mentioning other stuff. If you want to adopt that, that's fine. Other shows have. But if you want to talk about undrafted free agents in the AFC South, those will definitely come up. UCF got a little busy in that, too. We're mixing all sorts of draft day coverage. Why is that relevant, Chris?
Well, we're going to talk about a movie. And so, again, I'm going to apologize because I've done it on every one of these episodes this week. I'm still talking about draft. I know I guaranteed you guys I would stop talking about draft. Well, technically, I'm talking about a movie. It just happens to be called Draft Day.
That's right.
So, Draft Day was a film. It was released in 2014. I don't know how I did not see it until now because it was right up my alley. The NFL draft. I'd been following the draft pretty closely until at least 2006. Probably.
It was a relatively quiet release, and maybe I'm getting ahead of the game here, but when you watch it, it definitely looks like a hype film for the NFL. I can make an argument that the release of this film kind of inspired Antis to use this concept to make Concussion.
Oh, yeah.
So what they kind of did is they tied in stuff that looked very NFL-y and like, oh, okay, well, if they're going to make their hype movie in 2014, 2016, they came out with their version to tell the truth, at least from their perspective. But that's a whole other question. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I won't get into the concussion stuff here. We don't have to let it all get political in that factor. But I don't want to touch that.
I feel like if you want the antithesis to Draft Day as a hype film, like this is the kind of stuff. If it were a military organization, like it would be like a newsreel, serial. The only thing you're missing is this is the NFL. People get drafted. That voice. Coming in and over. That didn't happen. A lot of familiar voices throughout. We'll get to that, I'm sure.
Tons. I think, again, as you mentioned this being kind of hype video for the NFL, they definitely had the NFL's permission to do an awful lot.
Oh, yes. There is licensing here.
Yeah, they're all over the draft. I mean, you got the backdrop that you see in the draft. You got, Chris Berman up there talking, Mike Mayock, Rich Eisen. I mean, all these talking head personalities when it comes to the draft were up there. And obviously, there had to be a lot of leeway from the NFL to allow a lot of that to happen.
Well, I don't know who paid for it. Well, I don't know who paid for it. I say that, but again, if this is an NFL hype film, this is that concept as like, let's say, Vegas Vacation, right? Mm-hmm. Being the latest Well, not the latest. I mean, the latest one with Chevy Chase. I know they moved on with him and Rusty. I didn't even bother with that. You know, if you reviewed it, no offense. But
actually, hilariously enough, that comes right back around because somebody that I did a movie review on the other day directed that movie, the new Vacation movie. Just, you never know what's going to pop up on this thing.
So I say all that to say, Vegas Vacation was bankrolled by some entity promoting tourism in Las Vegas because, you know, there's no relevance to that. By the way, tell me why that we have a bunch of professional sports franchises in Vegas now while Pete Rose is still banned from baseball for life. I'm sorry, we're getting off topic, but I mentioned that to where it kind of feels like the NFL took a page out of that book in bankrolling this movie to not only hype the draft, but then the league and stuff. And this is back in the day where the mission for the NFL was to have an event during every month of the year, right? If you pick a particular month out of the year, they're doing something. Yeah. Except for maybe right now June, but I can argue there's free agency and OTA stuff there, right?
It's still happening, yeah.
So
off-season stuff. There's no off-season for the NFL.
Right,
anymore.
yeah. July even has camp. August has preseason. Obviously, the season goes from September all the way through February, where the Super Bowl was played, right? And then, now granted, what they're doing in March, that's more kind of free agency, off-season stuff, and then April is leading into the draft. So I think this goes back to that place nearly 10 years ago where they were still trying to promote that and make that a big thing, and now the draft is the event that it is.
It's one of the biggest sporting events ever, and it doesn't actually involve any actual sports.
Yeah, and you can tell that this movie's 9 years old, Chris, because it referenced the Chiefs needing a quarterback. Well,
I think they took care of that. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the movie. I'll start with how I usually do with the movie reviews. We'll talk about some of the behind the scenes, who's involved, how they came about. And so this was directed by, of all people, who I was very surprised by, Ivan Reitman, who, if anybody recognizes that name, it's because you've probably seen Ghostbusters.
Yes.
He's directed not only Ghostbusters 2, Kindergarten Cop, Arnold Schwarzenegger, back in the day. Mm-hmm. I might actually want to show that to my kids sometime soon. That's a good one. I like that.
I would not use it to reference medical advice, because it might be a tumor. It's not the tumor. Maybe it is. Get it looked at.
You might want to. This was his last directed film. For 2014, he ended up passing away just last year, 2022. And maybe not the last 8 years. I don't know what his medical stuff was. It may have just been that he had to take a step back and before he did. But
reminds me. I get that vibe of I lost his name. It's the guy who played Perry Mason, Raymond Burr.
Raymond Burr.
Yeah, his last thing was Unicron in the Transformers movie. Like, this dude was Perry Mason for years in all sorts of suspense thriller, and his last credit is Unicron? Really? A giant robot planet? He's been making you bust a gut for years, this Ivan Reitman guy, and his last thing is Draft Day? Sure.
Hey. That being said, some of the star power that he was able to pull in, maybe, having a name like Reitman directing this and having the money of the NFL behind it, they were bringing some talent. So obviously this is, they were my first, obviously, of the video. Yeah. You'll hear about 10 more of them, I'm sure. Kevin Costner is headlining this one. And Kevin Costner, I was talking to Kyle before we started filming, and I don't want to go through his filmography. I would be here all day. So I'm just going to highlight, here's the famous people that he has played. Elliot Ness, The Untouchables. Mm-hmm. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Jim Garrison in JFK.
JFK, yes, I know how it's spelled.
JFK. Wyatt Earp, and I believe his movie was called Wyatt Earp.
Yes.
Tombstone's better, but still, Wyatt Earp was a good one.
That's a separate video. We could do a video comparing those, as Tombstone was better, but there were things Wyatt Earp did better. But I digress.
Tombstone is the more fun.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And as I mentioned many times on this thing, I like fun movies.
That's right. He's going to bring a fun movie, and hell's coming with him. Anyway,
absolutely. Ken O'Donnell, who maybe nobody recognizes that name, but he was the liaison to JFK during 13 Days.
Obviously qualified for that role at this point, right?
He definitely seems to like JFK movies. And then, last but not least, Jonathan Kent, Daddy for Superman. Pretty cool.
Yes. Well, and keep in mind, as far as many baseball movies as Costner did.
All over the place.
Yeah, this is the first football foray, if I remember correctly. Yes, so, that's a whole other thing, too.
But along with Kevin Costner, we got Jennifer Garner here, who famous from Alias, Daredevil, Electro back in the day, with her future ex-husband Ben Affleck.
So do you really want to cite that one? I don't know.
I
Anyway.
enjoyed Daredevil. It's a piece of crap. I enjoy it. So. I mean,
I can confirm he bought the DVD.
Yes. I told you my tastes are not going to ever be mainstream. I like crap as long as it's fun. And then I like good movies that are fun too.
That sounds like it should be the slogan for a proctologist, but whatever.
Well, you know what? You can't be a horror fan unless you're okay with watching crap, because that 80% of it, that's what it is.
It's not crap. It's inspiration for ingenious filmmaking, right?
Yes.
Let's use chocolate syrup. Who needs? We can't find the fake blood.
You'll get a diamond in the rough every now and then.
That's right.
I mean, I look at the way the Evil Dead started. I just got finished talking about the 6th movie of that franchise.
Oh man, listen. By the way, I would recommend you watch the Hilarity by Default reviews of the Evil Dead. Those were good episodes. They come at you, they're right in your face. Anyway,
Just like the movies.
That's gonna be a reference you'll get if you watch it. Anyway,
Absolutely. All right, we've got, so let's see. Oh, I want to talk about Jennifer Garner real quick again. So my kids actually know her as all of her mom roles that she's been doing recently. So she was in Yes Day along with Jenna Ortega. It's one of my kids' favorite little family comedies now. And The Adam Project on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds. She again played the mom. That seems to be her go-to now, is playing the mom role. Hate to see it, because that makes me feel like maybe I'm the dad now, which I guess I am.
Did you just say you were Jennifer Garner's? No, you didn't say that. Anyways,
Did I say it was Jennifer Garner's daddy? That was my wife sitting back there. I did not.
I just checking. Anyways,
And then going along with this cast, you got a whole lot of recognizable faces. You got Chadwick Boseman, who I was like, I had to pause a second. I'm like, is that Chadwick? Because he was quite a bit younger in this movie, but doing a football player. Frank Langella playing one of the owners.
right.
Dennis Leary is the coach. You got Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. I don't know, whatever he's doing now. Sean Combs works. Playing an agent. You got Terry Crews playing Arian Foster's dad. Arian Foster's in this. So that's pretty cool. Just to go along with all the other football, I mean, there's so many football guys. I can't. You throw a pin at a name board and you run into one of them. But,
Even the commissioner himself making a brief appearance in there. Yes, absolutely.
I didn't hear that made booing. I don't think they were portraying it right.
That is
unrealistic part of the movie. They
Right.
didn't boo him off the stage.
Right. Yeah. When they did the opening pick and he said, "What is it? The Browns, the Browns are on the clock." Which, by the way, can you blame the draft day movie for assuming the Browns were the worst in the league the previous year? I mean, come on. Anyways,
I'm hopeful for a repeat next year.
like this is
Because we
even
have
before.
the first round pick.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But this was even before the Deshaun Kaiser era, where they went what was it, like 1 in 32 or something, 2 and 32, whatever. I don't know.
It's been a rough couple decades to be a Browns fan, but hey, I'm a Texans fan. I know, believe me, I understand.
You're part of the problem giving them Deshaun Watson. Anyways.
Oh, more power. Take that dude. Take that dude and all his headaches. Just keep him out of massage parlors if you can. But good luck with
Headaches
that.
how we got there in the first place. We're teenagers.
All right, so that's kind of the talent behind the movie. We're not going to do like plot spoilers or anything for the movie, but let's just say, obviously, this is draft day. There with the obviously again. This is draft day. It is about Kevin Costner's character is playing one of the GMs of the Cleveland Browns in this case.
Right.
He's got, I believe, the 7th round pick of the draft at first, but he has to make this big trade to get the first. And it's all about the fallout of, are they going to take the right guy? What do they need to do to get the right person? There's at least 3 different players that they're kind of focused on being the right guy for this team and different reasons why or why not.
Chadwick Boseman's one of them as a defensive player, as an edge rush, right? And then they got the running back, Arian Foster, who is playing a running back. It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I know, right? He really had to stretch those acting chops.
And then they had a guy that you might equate at this point to like Will Levis. And no spoilers, you'll see what happens. That there's a reason I equate it to Will Levis. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, there's the movement, and the reason why I bring this up, Smitty, is the year when it came out. A lot of people were asking me if the trade that they made sense, right? And it's funny, at the time in 2014, I'd have been like, it's a reach, but I can see somebody desperate doing it, which is, connected
Browns,
to how they describe it. Yeah, exactly. And what was it? It was to go from 7 to 1 in exchange for the next year's first round pick and the next year's pick after that, right? So 3
total
first round
3
picks. Right. I mean, but then we see the Panthers moving from, what was it, 9 to 1 in a similar style year, because it was those 2 picks and then DJ Moore and stuff.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
at this point, we're at the point where that was a reasonable trade in my mind to go from 7-1 at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
There's some inside football for you there.
And there's definitely, at 2014 in the draft, yes, teams were trading around, but I don't think we see nearly as much back then as we do now. Now
Certainly
teams
not.
are all over the place. I mean, every pick the Texans made over the weekend, except for C.J. Stroud, was a traded pick, either up or down.
Yeah, well, and younger owners have caused that. Without going too far on a sports tangent here, but this is the problem with talking to the student of the game. Simply put, younger owners or industries that are less commoditized have owners that are coming in where it's more guys that are into big swings. Like if you've ever listened to Colin Cowherd, he talks about owners that are in tech taking big swings and then also moving off of mistakes faster. So, and I'm not saying that the Titans owner is in tech, but or takes big swings or anything like that, but moving off of Malik Willis quickly to pull in Will Levis would be an example of what I'm talking about. Moving off of Josh Rosen quickly like they did in Arizona recently, right?
Taking it as a sunk cost and just moving on rather than focus on
avoiding doubling down.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I put it that way. Everyone's like, "Oh, that is good." Yeah.
All right, so the rest of the movie ends up, he's got the first round pick now. Is he going to take it on one of these, use it on one of these 3 players? Which one? And then by the end of the movie, there's trading down scenarios. He's calling other GMs.
GMs are calling him.
GMs are calling. I think it's I won't say it's probably the most realistic aspect of what those war rooms look like, but I think you probably get a pretty decent idea of the phone calling back and forth.
They capture that
negotiations.
Well. Yeah.
There may be some verbiage that I don't think these GMs necessarily talk to each other like I want my picks MFer, things like that.
No. Actually, if I may, if you call somebody a pancake-eating MFer, I can actually see that happening. Listen, you don't understand how my fellow offensive linemen talk to each other when I played semi-pro ball, man. No, that part was actually among the more realistic.
It was definitely part that I cheered at a little bit. I enjoyed that.
Because, listen, at the end of the day, everybody's aware that it's an active negotiation, and guys at that level aren't in their feels. And if they see how I made it all hip for the audience out there, if they were, they wouldn't be capable to get the spots that they're in to be able to afford a professional team by
handle that.
Right, exactly, by running on emotion. But I think there's hyperbolic elements throughout, right? So there's some of the exchanges with Dennis Leary's character, Coach Penn, the guy they brought in, who allegedly won the Super Bowl with Dallas. By the way, second most unrealistic thing in the movie. But with that in mind, he's coming in. I don't want to spoil it, but let's say came in pretty hot, complaining to Kevin Costner's character, Sonny Weaver Jr. A scenario where they set up where he fired his own dad and all sorts of stuff. I won't get into the spoilers connected to that, but that's a big part of the movie. There's a lot of injected drama.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
Jennifer Garner's there because, you could see, for those who remember the late Richard Jenny stand-up comedy about movies and stuff, there's elements there. There's football for the men. Boo! And then romantic interest for the ladies. Boo! It's trying to make it a little something for everybody.
Right.
Over and above the football fan. There's actual real drama there. And I think they're trying to capture that here. The part I don't want to call it a spoiler, but I'll say this so people know what they're gonna come across with that in particular. The one thing I don't think would happen in any way, shape, form, or fashion that was ridiculous to me, again, not Goodell, not getting booed ridiculous, but for me, this is the most hyperbolic, I'll say. And that's where Smallville's Superman, aka the
Incumbent?
Drew, the incumbent quarterback. I forget his first name, but Brian Drew.
Yeah.
Can't imagine who they're referencing there. One would think it would be a breeze for me to understand. Anyways, so we're both dads and we both have 2 kids. They're coming with the dad jokes. Deal.
They're used to it by now. We're 100+ episodes into my show.
I forgot how famous you are. Yes, I know. My current running of the Student of the Game podcast isn't 100 episodes yet.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a lot longer. I just tend to do it daily.
Listen, man. I'm just trying to give you your flowers. Anyways, but Brian Drew comes in and smashes up the GM's office.
Yeah.
No.
That's not happening.
But it's hyperbole. It's creating drama. There's a lot of creating drama. There's a lot of creating hype in it to make it relatable.
Right.
But I do think a lot of the banter between the GMs and that outside the walls, off the field aspect of the actual what's his word, tension and urgency on the day is captured very well, and they do it so where the layman can be like, whoa, that guy just called that guy a pancake eating MFer, dude. That's awful.
Yeah.
Got his picks back.
Well, he got his picks. Yeah. So that's draft day. Again, I'm not going to go any more deeper into that. I would definitely say this is kind of where I say whether I would recommend or not recommend a movie. I would recommend the movie. Now, here's my caveat. If you like football, hard recommend. Go see this, especially if you have any sort of interest in the draft. I think it's very well done of some of the ideas you may see during draft time in these front offices of these teams. If you're a Kevin Costner fan, go see it. He's doing his Kevin Costner thing.
This is a Kevin Costner movie. That is a very accurate take. I'll go with that for sure.
Yeah, and being that, I love Kevin. I list off all these famous people he's played. I could name off another 20 movies of his that I enjoyed. But he's doing a good job. And then honestly, even if you just want a good kind of drama with some sports elements in there, obviously. It would be a recommend for you. Now, if none of that interests you at all, you want to go, I don't know, see people shoot footballs up into space or something, then no, maybe not for you. But
shoot footballs up into space.
You never know. I talk about all sorts of crap on this.
Listen, buddy. I can tell you is here's a throwback for your dang show, Chief. Like, you can go back and reference one of the earliest basketball offerings on video game systems, Bill Lambier's Combat Basketball. That's the closest thing I could think of footballs in space.
I bet NBA Jam probably got a basketball up there at some point.
There is Cyberball. Here's a real throwback for you. I think this was an Atari presentation back when mommies and daddies played video games in cabinets and not on their phones. Cyberball 2020 was I believe, which now is in the past. But Cyberball 2020 could have still been played in the pandemic because the players are robots. Uh-huh. And if you hold on to the ball too long, it blows up. It's fun. But there's a throwback video game that might be the closest thing to football in space. There you go. See, I got some video games for you. Take that, Ramblers. Wait, I'm Nash, but they're the Ramblers watching the ramblings of this 42-year-old man. I know you're older. Don't mess it up. It's a promo. Anyways.
Eventually, my actual age will be on the title of this show, but not for right now.
Oh, don't change your branding. Come on now.
But yeah, so I would definitely recommend the movie. Again, take that as a caveat of I love football, I love the draft. Of course, I'm going to recommend this movie. But I think I always try to tell, when I'm talking about my horror movies, I'll tell you, like, if you're into horror, great. If you're not, don't come see this movie. If you aren't into horror, maybe you would like this sort of one. When I talk about Evil Dead, don't go see that if you don't like horror. I'll tell you that now.
If you like Bruce Campbell, go see it.
No, because he's not actually in it.
Wait, which one? Oh, you said Evil Dead?
The newest one, Evil Dead Rise.
Well, no, see, this is like trying to go watch the White Man Can't Jump remake. I ain't trying to do that.
Yeah, no. The better things to do with your time, like, watch the original one.
This was right. Like, this is like when I had a broken leg and we watched the classic boxing movie, Play It to the Bone. That's right. Classic. You've never heard of it, but it's classic because it's about 20 years old now. Anyways.
Recommend. Kyle, what do you think? You think recommend?
I'm gonna steal one from the hilarity by default rating scale. Bing! I'm gonna call it serviceable, and I mean that to say I'm not gonna sit here and say it was bad. If you walked into this expecting Academy Award material, it's you. Hi, you're the problem. It's you. There's that Taylor Swift recommendation. No. But for me, like the way I'd set the table for it, you're having a draft party on Thursday night. The dang thing doesn't start till 8 or 8:30, right, Eastern time. People stow up early to start eating and all that. If this is on in the background, you might catch some eyes paying attention to it, especially when, a quarterback is smashing up the GM's office, for example.
Or if you happen to be, two middle-aged guys watching day 2 of the draft and you just send your son to go tell you what picture to be made and we'll go watch draft day instead.
I mean, there was an involvement in some frosty adult beverage. At least paint the picture completely.
But definitely, but a good time. I think a good time, and definitely timely. Considering what all these rambles have been about for the last week, as you know, draft time. So it kind of fit in pretty good. But yeah, we're gonna do this again. We'll have to collab again. We talked originally about doing the program, which we'll still have to do because that is a good movie.
I have not seen that movie.
Definitely a good movie.
And now that I'm officially a college football media member, I guess I'll call it, contributor somewhere. I mean, I do reference the black and gold banneret, bing, but come bowl time, I do stuff for, bowl games with the 3-point conversion. So there's that.
Yep.
But with that, I guess I need to get around to seeing, the work of Mike Tomlin, Omar Epps and others in that movie in question.
For sure. So we'll be doing that again. But until then, this was my ramble for draft day. Before we go, though, I want to kind of give the floor over to Kyle. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to, where to find you, people who are watching, where they can hunt you down at.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations for 100+ shows, Smitty. I was not prepared to see you be a YouTube talent, but here we are. God bless it. With that in mind, this collaboration is now officially a thing. Look forward to that. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the 3-point conversion, the XFL, something I've been covering throughout the week, by the way. More opportunities for players than ever before, even if they don't make it through draft day.
Nice.
Check that out on the 3-point conversion. I mentioned earlier the Black and Gold Bannerets Night Shift podcast. We'll be talking about UCF's undrafted free agents, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, just among a few. By the way, for those who are looking for Isaiah Bowser's name, he's been invited to a couple camps. We'll talk about that as well. And then, of course, my work with A7BN Sports, as well as the 3-point conversion, covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right. I believe we mentioned my appearance on Touring the NFC South, where I talk some Jaguars then. And look out, of course, for the Student of the Game podcast, which you can find. I stream any of those through the my social medias there as well. And then got to give shouts to Huddle Up Podcast Inc. on their YouTube channel. You'll see it there as well on Wednesday nights around 8:40 p.m. Eastern. This particular one, guess what? Draft analysis. Shocking. If you want to see somebody over the age of 13 do it, but maybe not know as many of the players' names, check that out.
Yes, my encyclopedia of football players, David. Absolutely. Well, if you can't tell, he's kind of a busy dude. He's got a lot of stuff going on. As for me, I'm going to try to roll this out. I haven't done it before. You can catch me at the Ramblings of a 42-Year-Old Man on YouTube, obviously. I also post these on Facebook and my Twitter handle, which have the same name as well. If you ever want to get in touch with me for anything, my email is the same as well, just at Gmail. You're welcome to do that. Haven't had anybody try that yet, but I do love to see the comments on the videos. And thank you again for listening to me ramble. I loved having Kyle on here. We'll be having to do this again here very soon.
Well, since I made a presentation, I'm Nash, he's the Rambler. But until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
Nice.